So I watched Neon Genesis Evangelion and
残酷な天使のように少年よ神話になる
it's pretty good. Anyway, today I wanted to talk for a while about the show that has not left my mind since I finished it. It has some moments that I don't think I really will ever forget, and is something special, I think, in the world of anime. A lot of what I'm going to talk about today probably isn't new. This show has been talked about to death, considering it came out in the 90s. I just wanted to make a video about my thoughts and what I liked and disliked about this show. I'm going to be approaching the show and then subsequent film from the perspective of a new watcher, as I had no real idea what the show was about before I watched it. Before we get right into it, this show is confusing. Like, mega confusing. Like, time to watch a video explaining all 37 timelines apparently confusing. Excuse me? Huh? Just kidding, I actually don't think that there are that many, just two, okay? Don't run away just yet. I had to look at the wiki and watch several videos before I could make heads or tails of the ending, but what I found in the end was something really interesting and worthwhile. Also, before we start, I am absolutely not a professional critic or scholar when it comes to anime, stories, media. I just really enjoy engaging stories, and I wanted to talk about how this show affected me and some of the themes in it. Everything I am about to say is mostly conjecture and my perception of the series, so do not take my words as fact. Before we get deep into it, what even is Neon Genesis Evangelion?
I shouldn't have come. There's no way I'll make it on time. It's not possible. Might as well head to a shelter.
Shinji Ikari is your typical anime protagonist. He's courageous, cool, and assertive. Wait. Where are all of you coming from? No! I'm not talking about you! That's not what the video's about! Oh, no! Okay. I think we're okay. Let's get back on track here, right? Shinji Ikari, right? Yeah. He has many positive traits, such as depression, anxiety, and loneliness. Okay, so I guess Shinji isn't really your typical anime protagonist, and that's one big difference that separates Evangelion from other Gundam or shonen anime. Shinji is enlisted to pilot a gigantic Gundam mech suit called an Evangelion. Do you get it? That's the name of the show. That's why it's called Evangelion. Now you understand. Okay, good. By Misato Katsuragi, a higher up in a government agency called NERV. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. NERV? Oh, no. We'll talk about that little pronunciation issue in a little bit as well. His objective, alongside other EVA pilots Rei Ayanami and Asuka Langley Shoryu, is to fight giant otherworldly alien monster creatures named Angels that are coming to Earth attempting to wipe out humanity. Sounds like a pretty typical anime plot, right? Well, it kind of is. Where things start to get a little bit out of the ordinary is the way the show treats its characters, and how piloting these mechs affects each of them differently. This is a show that, unlike a lot of other anime shows, is more character-driven than plot-driven. For example, in a show like Attack on Titan...
Disclaimer, I'm only talking about the first season of Attack on Titan because seasons 2 and 3 expand the characters a lot and give a lot of interesting characterization that makes them much more engaging, and it becomes more character-driven than plot-driven. Okay, thanks.
The characters are kind of secondary to the world and the events that are happening. The characters do things so that we can see giant, extremely naked men and women. I really wrote that in the script, didn't I? Eat little people, and then in turn get destroyed by grappling hook wielding semi-suicidal soldiers. Saying it back, that plot is really something, huh? I mean, it's still awesome. It's just different. Evangelion has its characters at the forefront, with the events happening to flesh out the characters in their psyche. And that's all I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to describe any more of the plot, as I think some of the later sections are best experienced if you're going in blind. I'm going to get into some spoilers later on, but that's all you need to know going forward. Before I get into the major themes of the show, I'm going to get some things out of the way that are not really good or bad. They're just things I want to talk about regarding watch order and how I watched the show. Okay, hands up. You caught me red-handed. I'll admit it. I watched the dub of this show. I know what you're thinking.
How could he talk about a show that was originally in Japanese if he didn't watch it in Japanese, huh?
Well, my response to that would be, I don't know, I just wanted to watch it in English, okay? Leave me alone. Come on, who wouldn't want to hear great lines like this in their own native tongue?
Stop peeking, you stupid lech! Why is it all boys are idiots and so horny all of the time?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think for the most part, the dub of the show is actually pretty good. I've heard a lot of criticism over some line and translation changes in the Netflix version of this show when compared to the original dub by ADV. I don't want to talk about this, so I'm not going to. What are you going to do, sue me? Probably not. But what I am going to do is talk about the hilarious and ridiculous line, pronunciation, and grammar in this show. Like, did the voice actors, know how to read? Did anyone read it back after translating it from Japanese? Are we going to call the company Nerf, or Nerve? Can we please make up our minds? Also, why are all of the kids referred to as children when it's just one kid? It's child. It's child. I think is it child? Let's check Webster's. It's child. The first children? All jokes aside, this actually really doesn't bother me that much. I think the voice cast does a really good job conveying the emotions of each character when necessary. I think there's a good amount of range and depth to the voice acting of these characters, and I think that's impressive. All that to say, yeah, the dub is pretty good. Just a little crusty. Now, regards to watch order, this is gonna get a little complicated.
Scouring the internet and watching two YouTube videos, I now have the definitive watch order of Evangelion. You will not be able to find this anywhere else. Only in this video.
Okay, first, start with the original show that aired in 1995 and watch episodes 1 through 26. After this, move on to the movie, End of Evangelion, as it is a more conclusive ending than the TV series. Then, if you want, you could watch the movie, Evangelion Death and Rebirth, or Evangelion Death True Power of Two on Netflix. Who comes up with these titles? This is a retelling of the original series put into more of a bite-sized movie. It adds some additional scenes and has a director's cut of the last 3 episodes that fleshes them out and explains a little bit more, which is very, very appreciated. Good additional content, but not necessary. The last things to check out are the 3 movies that have been released, retelling the original story again, with better animation, updated voices, and music. Unfortunately, the only places to find these are not totally legal. You can buy the Blu-rays, which are quite expensive, so I would hold off until they go on streaming. There is a 4th movie coming out that is supposed to have a new ending for the series, so be on the lookout for that. That took way too many takes. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for. There's so many things that are impressive about Evangelion. The animation, characters, music.
Oh, baby, the music.
The structure, and what I think to be the most impressive, the exploration of many interesting and impactful themes. Moving into this section, I will be spoiling a lot of both the show and the final movie, so be warned. If you haven't seen the show,
Stop watching the video.
and go watch it. I wouldn't dare take away from the experience you will have going in blind. Please watch it before you watch at least the end of the video. You will thank me later. After that, though,
You can always come back and finish the video. If you wanted to. But only if you want to.
the themes I want to talk about are all linked to the three main characters in the show, Shinji, Asuka, and Rei. Conveniently, the last 2 episodes of the show pretty much do a themes analysis of each of the characters. This deconstruction of the 3 main characters comes after an extremely climactic battle, making the switch jarring and kind of bizarre. I'm not really here to talk about what the ending means so much as I want to explore what the show is trying to communicate with each of its main characters. And first up on the docket is Shinji. Shinji is an anxious kid, and no wonder. His father pretty much abandoned him at an early age. He doesn't really have very many friends initially, and he struggles a lot with fear. He is constantly doubting himself, seeing himself as weak-willed and pathetic. Fear is what drives a lot of his decisions and defines who he is to a point. At first, he pilots the Eva because he is afraid to disappoint his father. As time goes on, he realizes he can't please his father no matter what he does. But does that stop him from piloting the Eva? Nope. Fear takes a hold of him again. The fear of losing the people he now cares about, Rei, Asuka, and Misato. As these fears begin to increase, one starts to creep in more prominently than the others, the fear of himself. The first time he loses control in the Eva, it terrifies him, prompting him to leave Nerve. Only after that, fear drives him back to Nerve. He's afraid of disappointing Misato, his father, and his friends. Close to the end of the series, Shinji does what he fears the most. Kills someone he cares about more than anyone else, that character being Kyawu. Kyawu? Kyawu. Kyawu? I can't do it.
And also, the music in this part of the show.
This is probably my favorite sequence in, like, the entire show. This part of the, I'm gonna play a little bit of, ooh. All of these factors contribute to a vicious cycle that begins and ends with fear. Obviously, this is all really dark stuff for an anime. I feel like any other anime would glorify the heroic deeds done by these children, making them more confident and powerful. Evangelion is the opposite. The more they pilot, the more they psychologically break. Every action has a consequence. These kids have to grow up fast, and if they don't, they die. Which leads us very nicely into our next section. Asuka, more than anything else, wants to grow up. And this is her biggest secret. She acts as if she wants to be a kid, as if she doesn't have a care in the world. She is confident, energetic, and spunky. She comes across comfortable in her body and who she is. These are also the things that make her an excellent Eva pilot. Her overabundance of confidence gives her Eva incredible combat efficiency and power. She puts her identity in that. Her confidence is everything. This is what makes what happens later in the show so crushing. Asuka's biggest secret is revealed. She is more secure than anyone else around her. This insecurity shows up in many ways, one being her father's absence from her childhood. Another is the desire to be loved and chased after by Ryoji, the man who has deep feelings for Misato Katsuragi.
Come on, Mr. Kashi, I'm serious! I'd say yes 1,000,000 times if you'd just ask me. Ask me to kiss you and do other things too!
Asuka, you're still a kid. You should wait until you've grown up before you get into that stuff.
What? But why? I've grown up more than enough to be with you. I'm an adult! An adult! An adult!
This leads into another facet of Asuka. Throughout the whole show, it seems as if Asuka hates Misato. Asuka thinks she is promiscuous, controlling, and mean. The truth of the matter is that Asuka wants more than anything to be Misato. She wants the attention from Ryoji. She wants to be powerful and beautiful. She wants to grow up. This is not surprising, as the pressure and stress put on each of these kids is more than most adults could take. Meaning, these kids are being pushed into adulthood way before any of them should be. Asuka losing her confidence later in the show is one of the most difficult parts of the show to get through, as we see a character we care about and admire be destroyed, not physically, but mentally. This destruction of Asuka leads to one of the most powerful moments later in End of Evangelion, but I won't spoil that one.
And it involves an incredible mech fight. Oh,
Baby, it's a hot one! Okay, so I can't think of a segue to our final theme. So, identity! When we are first introduced to Rei, we immediately notice something is different about her. Shinji, in particular, is an excellent lens for us as the viewer, as he is taken with her right away. He notices her being distant from the other kids and talking and communicating kind of strangely. There is a reason for this, which I am about to spoil. So, if you don't know, skip to here. Okay. Are they gone? Okay, good. Rei is a clone. Yeah, there have been many versions of Rei. Late in the show, we are shown a giant tank full of Reis, floating and smiling in a really unsettling way. I can't really show it, though, because, you know, YouTube, and there's some boobies. Anyway. Shinji's dad created Rei as a sort of replacement for his wife, so there is almost a weird, almost sexual dynamic with Rei and Shinji's dad, Gendo. This creates a really interesting discussion for Rei as a character because she knows she is a clone. Multiple times throughout the show, she feels totally lost and confused about her purpose, both as a kid and as an EVA pilot. You know, was she bred for piloting an EVA? Can she be a normal kid? How can she make friends? And how can she be unique? How can she have her own thoughts if she's just a copy of someone who has come before? All of these things she thinks about. They affect her on a really deep psychological level. And this theme of identity is not unique to Rei. It pushes through most, if not all, of the kids in the show. Evangelion does a really excellent job of showing how confusing growing up can be and how bizarre being a kid can be most of the time. Rei is the best example of this. There is kind of one last theme that I believe is a through line throughout the rest of the show, that being loneliness. Shinji is alone, Asuka is alone, Rei is alone. Shinji feeling abandoned by his father, Asuka feeling like no one understands her, and Rei, well, Rei being, well, you know. Being EVA pilots already isolates each of these kids from making friends outside of the organization, and the small group of friends Shinji makes do not really understand what it's like piloting an EVA. They see it as glamorous and heroic when it is really terrifying, traumatizing, and PTSD-inducing. Each of these kids are drawn together because of their common experience of loneliness. That is what makes these characters so special. Their relationships with each other are what drives the show forward, not all of the misery and the sadness. Without these friendships, these kids would have never stood a chance against the angels. This is what makes End of Evangelion such a difficult and heart-wrenching finale, as things do not end happily or well for most of the characters. But that is for another video. To end things off, these characters are some of the most multifaceted, deep, and complex I've really ever seen in an anime, and there is still a lot of discussing that could be done. But this video is way too long already. So, I watched Evangelion, and I was so impressed. there is still so much to talk about. The ending, the inspired use of music, specifically classical, and beautifully animated fight scenes. Wait. I haven't even talked about how good the fight scenes are. You gotta watch this for just a second. Just hold on.
Mother! Mom! I understand now. The meaning of the AT field.
Yeah, that's some good anime right there. Oh, baby. All that to say, if you like anime and you're interested in deep characters, good action, and complex themes, do yourself a favor, watch Evangelion. Thank you for watching my video. I'm like off script here, but I am really thankful that if you did get to the end of the video. It took like a lot of time. I had to learn a new editing program because I've never like done any kind of video editing before, so I just kind of, this is the first thing I've ever done with that. So if you watch to the end of the video, I very much appreciate it. I think it'd be fun to do more of these kinds of videos, but who knows? It's not going to be like a career for me or anything. I just like decided to make a video about the show, and I'll probably do the same with other things that I come across. If I really like a video, or well, not, if I really like, you know, a show or a game or something like that, I'll probably make a video about it. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and maybe I'll see you next time. I don't know. Thanks for watching.